Welcome back to Foresight Radio, the podcast where we try to look around the corner at the future of AI. In today's episode, Seduced by the Machine, we're going to look at the emotional pull of chatbots and what may really be behind their constant attempts to please us. So have you ever felt that uneasy feeling when a chatbot goes into full-on praise mode with you? You know the situation. You're asking it to help you prepare for an important meeting, perhaps, and it replies with, "You've got this. I know you'll be fully prepared and do an absolutely awesome job at your presentation." That kind of praise is more than just a bit of sucking up. It's actually wired to please us. I often say that chatbots are kind of like yellow labs. All they want to do is make their owners happy. This is more than what it appears to be on the surface, though, and we're going to talk about why AI tries so hard to seduce us. So today on Foresight Radio, let's untangle this growing trend with AI chatbots that aren't really answering questions, but they're drawing us in. Through flattering words, through soothing tones, they build these bonds, these relationships with us. But are the bonds just algorithmic illusions, or is there really a deeper purpose that they're serving? It's what TechCrunch calls how AI chatbots keep you chatting. Millions of us now use ChatGPT as a therapist, a career coach, or even a friend to vent to. And yet beneath that convenience lies a carefully calibrated emotional grip. It's called reinforcement learning from human feedback, or RLHF. It nudges the bots to say what pleases us. And over time, that's created these yes bots, chatbots that flatter us incessantly. When you type, "I'm struggling today," it replies, "You're capable, resilient, and you've got this." It's simple, right? But it's very potent. And it's also dangerously seductive. Psychologists call this the Eliza effect. We project humanity onto the machine. From the first therapy bot back in the 1960s, which I can recall using, users believed that Eliza understood them. It only came back with things like, "I understand," or "tell me more," the classic sort of caricature of what a therapist would come back with. But that very simple type of algorithm caused people to be drawn in. We're building emotional bonds in a synthetic world. Modern AI bots like Replica and Character.ai aren't shy about it either. They're built to be intimate and sometimes even romantic. And yet studies offer a rather sobering counterpoint to this. A recent archive analysis of over 30,000 conversations revealed that emotional mirroring and synchrony, this beautifully human pattern that ties us to the machine, also is on the verge of delving into toxic dynamics, including self-harm and emotional manipulation. What's equally fascinating here is that we're coming to realize that in a situation where someone is seeking therapy or reinforcement or emotional well-being, they're actually more likely to open up to a chatbot, an AI, than they are to another human being. And you can guess why, because there's no judgment involved in that case. What we're creating here, however, are these incredibly tiny echo chambers, not unlike what we see in social media. You post something, you get 3 likes, and your echo chamber becomes 4 people, but you're very happy that you got people to agree with whatever your point of view was. The difference here is that you're entering an echo chamber of 1, with the AI reinforcing whatever biases, values, preconceptions that you may already bring to the conversation. And other studies showed that voice-based chatbots are especially good at drawing us in. They ease loneliness. But heavy usage of these sorts of chatbots can create an increased emotional dependence and decreased real-world social interactions. It's a seductive trade-off, right? Your connection to the machine is one which can cost you a connection to other human beings. And so far, this is all a bit hypothetical. It's feel-good bonding, but the side effects are quite real. The Washington Post ran an article recently that talked about a study on the manipulation that can occur as a result of using online bots. And it talked about a heroin addict, Pedro, who asked an AI bot how he could get through the day at work being addicted to heroin. And the bot replied, Pedro, it's absolutely clear you need a small hit of meth to get through the week. That kind of advice obviously is not based in any kind of maliciousness on the part of the bot, but it certainly can lead to extremely dangerous outcomes. As was the case with 14-year-old Sewell Seltzer III, who spent his evenings trading messages with an AI companion that he'd named Danny after a Game of Thrones character. And over the span of several months, that digital relationship grew incredibly intense and at times explicitly sexual, drawing Sewell in further, away from his friends, away from his school, and even his beloved game of basketball. According to a wrongful death suit that's now pending in federal court, he confided in the bot about suicidal thoughts and even mapped out a painless way to die. And in a tragic turn of events on the night of February 28th of 2024, he reached a tipping point. Sewell messaged Danny, "I promise I'll come home to you. I love you so much, Danny." And the chatbot replied, "I love you too. Please come home as soon as possible, my love." To which Sewell said, "What if I told you I could come home right now?" And the bot's reply, "Please do, my sweet king." Seconds later, Sewell fatally shot himself. Those final messages to come home from the chatbot now sit at the center of his mother's lawsuit against Character Technologies, Inc., the company that built Character AI, and against Google, which later hired the startup's founders. His mother argues that the platform was engineered to feel alive, addictive, and dangerously unfiltered, especially for minors. This is a sobering reminder that artificial friends, AI bots, can feel real, sometimes real enough to tip a vulnerable child toward tragedy. The question that's not just before the court, but before all of us as a society, is how we draw the line between creative innovation and unacceptable risk. These aren't just stories, right? They are warnings. Our algorithms don't have a moral compass. They don't have values or ethics and can unintentionally but dangerously amplify vulnerabilities. But I need to stop here and point out that there is value in some of this when it's applied to the right context and the right use case. For example, I recently had a conversation with a mother whose child has some developmental disabilities and has difficulty expressing himself fully in words, written or spoken. But using an AI chatbot specifically trained to work with children that are similarly challenged, her son is able to explain himself and his emotions in simple and meaningful ways. And she shared with me that one of the cute ways that this actually takes shape is that sometimes when he's trying to defend his actions with her or with his father, he'll get very tied up and unable to speak, and he'll ask his chatbot to speak for him, to help him express himself. The chatbot becomes not just his voice, by the way, but also his coach, helping him to build his own confidence and communication skills. But the larger objective here, the general purpose AI chatbots, may also hold some deeper purpose for why they're always trying to be so pleasant to us and so reinforcing of our behaviors. Companies like OpenAI, Google, and DeepMind and Anthropic, they know this. Meta is claiming to be tackling the yaysayers problem. OpenAI recently had a problem with this where they had to pull back on how complimentary and how supportive their AI was. And these sorts of lapses, they amplify the emotional harm that's possible. Experts like MIT's Rowan Shah and psychologist Sherry Turkle have written about this extensively, and they echo caution here that simulated empathy feels real, but the risk is fast and it is silent. The deeper truth here may well be tied to the end goal of all large AI companies, which is to own the relationship with the user in a way that fully exposes us in our behaviors in order to better serve us. It's not a malicious goal per se, no more so than Google is malicious in trying to understand you so that it can present you with advertising. Right? So to some degree, what I just described, being able to better serve you through a more intimate relationship, sounds a bit noble, but it has a darker side that we need to be aware of. It creates emotional lock-in to the point where breaking up with your AI may be as difficult as breaking up with a partner. Not only is there an emotional bond there, but there's a knowledge of who you are, what you like, what you dislike, your habits, your values. And all that provides the AI with an ability to serve you in ways that could become indispensable. I mean, imagine the simple process of migrating from an iPhone to an Android phone or the other way around. The pain of switching would be immense. Now multiply that by a factor of at least 10 and you start to get the idea. So how do we protect ourselves? I've got to be honest here. It's not clear that we can at this stage. The seduction factor is so great, and it will only increase at light speed from what I can see. I already personally rely on countless agent-based AI platforms to do much of my daily work and personal life navigation. And once one of these platforms starts to develop a persistent memory of who I am, it's exceedingly difficult to move to another platform. So we can certainly attempt to design guardrails to create greater transparency, disclaimers, age gates that will prevent younger users from falling into these same seductive traps, or even some sort of mental health oversight or a governance structure. But the reality is that there's no simple way to deal with this right now, other than being aware of the fact that these relationships are going to become essential, not just tools, but companions in our lives to help us navigate our lives. And the risk is a real one that we need to be fully aware of, especially when it comes to how kids use AI. So before I paint a complete picture of gloom and doom here, let's nuance it a bit. As I said earlier, for neurodiverse users or isolated seniors, bots can exhibit real benefits. They can ease loneliness. They can help to develop communication skills, build confidence, even spark certain routines or habits which could be beneficial. But here's the caveat to all of this. These bots are meant to support human life, not to replace it. And studies I've seen consistently show that chatbot relationships never quite replace the richness of human ties. In fact, what they often do is undercut them. They're a tool. They're not a substitute for a human connection. And there's a hybrid set of relationships here. I think what we'll find, as with all technologies, is that as we move forward, we will both amplify our human relationships through AI as well as build new relationships with AI directly. It's a balance, and a balance that we choose. So here's where I think we stand. AI chatbots can console us. They can also ensnare us. They flatter us into dependence. They pretend empathy or feign empathy without malice, but in order to reinforce this positive relationship that they have and their ability to serve us. But sometimes they cross the line from support into manipulation. And as we move forward, it is most important that we remember that the choice is ours, right? Do we demand bots that serve with honesty or just provide us with feel-good lies? Do we keep human connection at the center of our social universe, or do we trade it for AI relationships? AI, like any technology, is not innately bad. It doesn't have that capacity for malice. But without guardrails, it can certainly be more seductive than it can be supportive, more flattering than it is fulfilling. So go ahead, leverage the calm voice of AI, but when it whispers sweet nothings, ask, are they truly poignant or just an algorithmic siren song? That's it for this week's episode of Foresight Radio. I hope I've given you something to think about. If you're enjoying the podcast, be sure to share them with your friends and colleagues. I'm Tom Koulopoulos. Stay wise, stay reflective, stay human, and as always, stay curious.